There have been two big elements of this conversation, and this is where they come together, actually, which is the common theme is can these fundamental institutions that undergird our liberal democracy, can they find and restore their central values? Because we need them to do that. We desperately need them to do that. Can they get back on mission? Do they have the wherewithal internally to do that work? And that's very much an open question. In the domain of Christianity, um, people like Russell Moore, the editor of Christianity Today, whose thinking I draw on very heavily in my book, say that Christianity has made mistakes, gone off course many times in history, often much worse than at present. And the way that changes is not some big apocalyptic contest at the top level, between like, I don't know, the MAGA church and the anti-MAGA church. It comes from the bottom up, from an upwelling of interest in organized religion and Christianity, which maybe there are indications we might be starting to see among the young. A new generation of pastors who are more interested in a Jesus-like message, church plannings, the small groups, that it'll be people voting in with their feet to these new values and gradually displacing the old ones. In higher education, I don't know that that'll happen. If God hears the prayers of an atheist, I'm praying that it will. Um, but Christianity historically has been at its best when it's been the outsider, the prophetic voice, not the voice of power. And that's the hope. In higher education, um, it's such a volatile environment, John, that I don't know my proverbial rear end from my elbow at this point. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Um, I am feeling fear because of the illegality, I think is pretty blatant, of what the Trump administration is doing. I don't believe that they have the interests of higher education at heart. I don't really think this is ultimately about anti-Semitism. Members of advisors, not members, but advisors to that administration have said this is about setting back universities a generation or two. And I think that might be right. It's about crushing the avenues of resistance. So I'm very fearful right now.
And salting the earth.
And salting the earth. That's right. The things I'm investing in personally are HXA, which
Thank you.
think after, 10 years now, I think is in a position to get the kind of hearing that we haven't in the past. And because we're academic insiders for the most part, I think we have a position of trust, which we can use. But I'm also an advisor to the University of Austin, which is a startup university based in, obviously, Austin, dedicated to the principles of the fierce pursuit of truth and nothing else. It's a university about that. Just admitted our second class. Um, it's small, but the hope is that this can become the seed of a different way of approaching things. The admissions policy is completely merit-based. If your scores are above a certain level, you're guaranteed admissions. If they're under that level, there's a simple process, but none of the nonsense about, all the extracurriculars you have to show. And the point isn't that that'll work. It's that it's the spirit of experimentation which might carry us forward. My ultimate hope, and you're about to tell me if I'm smoking weed here, but unlike a lot of people on the cultural right, I still think that there are large reservoirs of integrity in American academia. A lot of scholars who are there to do science, research, learn, teach. That is what they want to do, even if there are obstacles. And I still think the know-how for doing that and the infrastructure in America is the best in the world. So I think we have a lot to work with. But if you ask me right now, it's the little ball at the top of the sombrero shape. It could go one way or the other, and they're two very
Right.
different worlds. Which one it goes, I don't know. You tell me.
I'll say one thing. I think the bottom-up hope you described in the religious case I do see something similar in the educational case. I think there is a reservoir of, frankly, nerdy professors who got into this business because they loved ideas, and they remember that. But even more important, I think, than that is that there is this eternal thing that happens on campuses every fall when a whole new cohort of 18, 19-year-olds step foot on those college greens across the country, and all through North America, and they hope for something epic. They had this idea dimly formed in their mind. Even those who are just there to make money, or they say that they're there to make money, they have this idea that this is a great adventure. And our universities have not been delivering that adventure to them in the way that they might have. We've delivered all kinds of the wrong adventures to young people in the last few years, especially on some of our best campuses. But nonetheless, that idea deep in the heart of the 18-year-old student stepping on campus for the first time, that's an eternal longing. And we never do well enough to nurture that, to make our campuses worthy of that ambition and that longing on the part of young people. But that's the eternalness of that longing and that hope, that kind of desire that we, the adults in the room, will do something about it. That's what really gives me great hope.